Good afternoon, buenas tardes, bienvenidos a ¿Qué pasa, Mujer? Welcome to ¿Qué pasa, Mujer? Estamos aquí todos los domingos a las 4 de la tarde. We're here every Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Today is extra special because it is the last Sunday of 2025. So we hope everybody had a great holiday. And today we're going to be talking about 2025 and the end of 2025 and the new things that will be coming for 2026. So we can't wait to hear Maddie's input. I'll give you some of my input, and hopefully our audience will exchange information with us as well in reference to where they're at, where they're going, what the expectations are for 2026. I know a lot of things have happened in 2025. Some good things, some bad things, but every year is the same. I think for me personally, I try to look at the glass half full and not half empty. Yo personalmente trato de ver el vaso medio lleno, no medio desocupado, no sé cómo se dice. No sé si ese dicho se dice bien así en español. Pero hay muchas cosas que pasan, muchas buenas, muchas malas que pasan. Hola Valentina. Muchas cosas que pasan buenas, malas, pero todos los años son iguales, son cosas que pasan anuales. Pero definitivamente yo pienso que es mejor tener una actitud o mentalidad un poco más positiva y tener esa energía positiva, porque siempre pasan cosas, siempre hay cosas personales, cosas profesionales. Por ejemplo, en mi vida personal y mi vida profesional han pasado muchas cosas positivas y negativas. Una cosa que estaba pensando hoy era en cómo terminamos 2025. Quiero pensar en qué cosas voy a hacer nuevo, algo nuevo. Que he hecho en el pasado, que me ha trabajado, que quiero continuar a hacer y qué es algo nuevo que quiero hacer. So, qué es lo que quiero mantener, qué es algo nuevo y qué es algo que quiero cambiar. Vamos a traer a Maddie para que ella nos diga un poco de cómo vamos a terminar el 2025. Maddie, queremos saber tu perspectiva de 2025. We want to know your perspective, Maddie. I was just saying that as we end 2025, me personally, I want to think about the things that I want to keep going that I've been doing, some things that I want to change, and some new things that I want to explore as I welcome 2026. First of all, how have you been doing? Because I haven't seen you in a minute.
I know, it's been a while. ¿Qué pasa, mujer? Buenas tardes, everyone. Yeah, I've been doing okay, hanging in there, going through a lot of changes. Hopefully I get to share with everyone soon. But yeah, like you said, this is the time of the year where we reflect on what has happened in 2025, how we handle certain situations, and, what could we have done better. So yeah, I think it's an excellent time to kind of do that review in several aspects of our lives, like we always talked about, reviewing whether it is our finances, our, emotional health, our well-being, it's always worth looking at all of that and kind of seeing, what we have done, where we have made progress and not. So, yeah, I think this is a great time to, to be able to do that. And ditto to everything you said, I think that's one of the things that I'm going to be doing myself. And I'm excited, I'm excited for the new year. As you know, it's a big milestone year for me next year. So I am turning 50. So it's a big number. And, yeah, so I don't know if the number is scaring me more than, but it's like, okay, I get to start another half a century. So yeah, so I'm definitely been thinking about my personal life and, changes that I may need to make, or things that I may need to do different in the future. But yeah, next year it's a big one for me, so I'm definitely kind of looking at my life overall.
Mm. Yeah, that is a big one. But 50 is the new what? 40?
Listen, I'm here and I'm gonna make the best out of it.
Yes. Yeah, because I definitely do not, I don't know what my age is supposed to feel like, but I think that I'm still in my 30s. So I'm okay with that. My body tells me,
I feel
oh, our producer says 50 is the new 30. Ooh, so I'm really in my 20s, Maddie. That's great news.
Yeah, I have my
Oh,
days that I feel like I'm 20, then other days I'm 30, and then of course this morning I felt 70, but I think I leveled out right now.
that's fine. That's fine. So I'm gonna share with you as you think about yours, but so something that I want to keep that I have been doing, I want to continue to have my mindset in reference to thinking positive, thinking the cup is half full. I don't want to change that about me. As I see my grandmother get older and my mom get older, I see some deficiencies, if I can call them, in them, and I want to be able to alter some of those things. Some of it could be health wise, or some of it could be just mentality, how we see life, how I accept people for who they are. I think that's one of my great qualities that I don't. I try my best to not judge, to not, como se dice, hablar, pensar negativo de esa persona, because we all have gone through, different situations. So I try not to forget that I have maybe not potentially been in the same exact situation as the person, but I have been through certain challenges in my life, and I want to continue to have that mindset. Something new that I want to try. I want to be held more accountable for my actions. I tend to start things and I don't finish them at times, because I get so excited about certain projects, and then I start them, but then I don't finish them. So that's definitely something new that I want to do. I want to create some type of system where I'm being held accountable. And I know that the way to do it is to hold myself accountable with other people. Me and a pencil and a paper didn't work. So I have to incorporate other people into me getting things done. Um, and it's the same thing with the change. The change is that I need to change a little bit of my mindset when it comes to my commitment to my projects, and to really give a beginning date and an end date of when I do things. So that's those are my three things in reference to what I'm going to keep, something that I want to change, and something new. What about you?
Something that I am going to keep, I like you said, like trying to be positive about things. I will say for me is keep. I know often, I always say it, I'm a big crybaby. So I cry over everything. But I also love to smile. So I try, something that I've been trying to do, kind of talk positive to myself when I'm going through certain situations, and kind of try to find a reason to smile. So I am going to continue focusing on that, kind of trying to keep smiling. Another thing that I'm going to focus on is, again, not be afraid to of major change. Sometimes, I am a creature of habit. I get so used to kind of being or doing what I know. So I guess one thing that I want to do more, and that I'm going to focus on trying to do more of next year, is trying new things, whatever it may be. Whether it is trying new foods, or, trying to learn something new, or, yeah, kind of get out of my comfort zone a little bit more. Um, something, let me see, so what did we say? Something we want to keep doing, something that we want to do better. And again, I think going with the what we mentioned first, I I tend to talk myself up, kind of cheer myself up, um, whenever I'm going through a hard time, but I am also my own worst critic. So I will probably say, give myself grace and be a little nicer to myself, when
Mm.
needed. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great one. I think we're all so hard on ourselves. With my profession, I see a lot of young people, and a lot of young people are like that. And I see it a lot on females. Um, Teenage females, like right when they end middle school, entering into high school, extremely tough on themselves, academically, physically, all that. It's very tough. I think social media has really affected us. As much as we love social media, it has really affected us in a big way when it comes to the self-care and giving ourselves grace, because we know what social media does in reference to imagery and the expectations that we have of ourselves. So I
Mhm.
wanted to talk a little bit about 2025, because we hear a lot of negativity, right? But I saw a story this morning about a CEO that sold his company. It's called Fire Bond, and so he sold his company to another organization. And as he exited out, he gave his full time employees a bonus. So he gave them $443,000 over 5 years, each of his full time employees. And I think we don't hear stories like that. We kind of hear the negative. We hear the layoffs and the people getting fired and stuff like that. But there are a lot of companies like this one. And he said the reason why he gave it is because of his faith. His faith led him to give back to his employees. I know for me, my business would not be the way that it is unless the people that work with me. And I never say the people that work for me. I always say the people that work with me, because if it wasn't for them, I would not my doors would not be open. And so I think to be able to give this amount of money to employees is amazing, because there was a lady that said she was able to pay off her mortgage sooner than she expected because of the bonus that she received from the company. So I just think it's great to be able to hear news like that. I know a lot of companies have like profit sharing. At the end of the year, they kind of give bonuses based on whatever the company made for the year. And I just think that we should recognize those companies that are making impact like that in families, because it's not always about just giving the bare minimum. I think it's nice to appreciate, and it helps with the retention of your employees as well. So I thought that was a nice story to hear. So he was the CEO for Fire Bond. I think they're out of Louisiana, if I'm not mistaken. So I thought that was nice.
Yeah, that's a beautiful story. When you can um he 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 was going through a major change in his life, and he realized how his life was going to change, and he probably, he said to himself, probably, let's see what impact I can make. And sometimes we think, this might not be a lot, but I am going to do it. And then you don't realize how much you are changing, or the impact that you're having in somebody else's life. Like that lady said, she was able to pay her mortgage sooner. So Lord knows what she's going to be able to save for or do next. Or she's about to gonna, she was thinking about having to work until a certain age, because she had to pay that home off before she retired, and now she might be able to retire a little bit earlier. So we never know, the impact that we're having, with our positive actions, the impact that we're having on people.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. One of the things that I was thinking about as well is because we experienced the government shutdown here in the United States, and I think during that time we were really able to see in the community the leaders of communities doing extra food distributions or giving out additional resources. And I thought that was something really nice. That typically I have seen even with the immigration happenings that we're experiencing. I have seen personally a lot of community leaders. It doesn't matter what their background is, white, black, Asian, Latino, like race is not being seen in my eyes in reference to helping the immigration situations that we're having. And even with the government shutdown, I think race was kind of put to the side and people really came together to be able to provide. Um, a lot of resources for communities. The last couple of months, I've encountered some families, immigrant families that are here. Some of the family members are undocumented, and I have had the opportunity to help some community leaders help the community that's in need. Just to kind of find solutions. And there are so many people, so
Mhm,
many US citizens that want to help, but they just don't know how to
mhm.
help. And even the rallying that has happened throughout the country, I just think it has been amazing to see just people come together for a cause. Has been something that I really haven't seen since I've lived in this country. I
Yeah,
don't know if you've
agree,
seen
agree.
that, Maddie. Hmm.
I agree. Like during the government shutdown, it was nice to see all the big companies come through for either their employees, again, I'm in the banking industry. So I know all of the banks had something going on to help, with the government shutdown, whether it was, minimizing fees or, waiving fees or payments and things like that for their clients, and I thought, that was beautiful. And a lot of the companies were like, if you are part of the government shutdown and you're having trouble, just call us, just call us and kind of see what we can do for you. So I think, that speaks volume of, again, of the impact that we can have by just caring a little bit about the people that are around us, because this affected, a lot of people, thousands of people. As far as the migration rates, and again, I get these conversations on a daily basis. I probably have at least one client a day come in and say, have you heard anything? Are they shutting down our bank accounts? Are they doing this? Are they doing that? Should I be afraid? And you find yourself kind of trying to reassure people, of their safety, of their money, and things of that nature. So it is again beautiful to hear that some people do care enough to kind of make sure that people, because people shouldn't live in fear, and unfortunately that's kind of where a lot of people find themselves. So if I can do a little bit something, whether it is a few words or, like you said, share resources within the community to help minimize the fear, the terror, the to make their quality of life right now a little bit better. It is beautiful to hear that people want to be able to do that, because if it was one of us in that situation, um, I know we talk about it all the time, even though we are not undocumented. I know that immigration and that situation has touched us in one way or another. We know someone who knows someone, or someone close to us, or so we might not be in that situation, but we can definitely relate and understand.
Yeah, definitely. I met a couple of ladies. They're stay-home moms, so they're taking care of the kids. They have kids that don't go to school. They have kids that go to school. And so their husband is getting arrested, right? 3 months later, um, uh, they're getting, what's the word? I'm sorry. Sent back to their country, right? So
Deported.
like deported, right? So from the time they get arrested to the time they get deported, now you have this mom at home with no resources, and that has been the
Mhm.
biggest issue. And then also because they might be undocumented, they're not able to get a passport. So not knowing how to get their passport, because some of
Mhm.
them do want to go back to their country. They don't want to be here anymore. So it really has been a challenge for some of them, just the basic necessities of just getting diapers, formula, just basic needs. So it has been extremely rewarding to be able to find a little bit of solution, kind of like putting a band-aid on it, but still being able
Mhm.
to give some type of solution to them. So that has been very rewarding, and also um, to have so many people from different communities come into play. A lot of the churches are coming together to really provide for them. Even sometimes it could just be those positive words. Sometimes it's not even anything tangible. So sometimes it's just words of encouragement that things will be better. But yeah, and then another thing that I was thinking about too is because I know we have, continued to say here on Que Pasa Mujer, our economic contribution. We're at 4.2, four point
As you,
four.
I don't even know anymore. I know it's over four, four plus.
Yeah,
How
so
about
let's
that?
say we're gonna go with 4.2 because I haven't even really checked the next last couple of weeks or anything. But we're going to go with $4.2 trillion that Latinos contribute to the economy. Maddie and myself are a part of that number, and so are you. Um, and I just think that I continue to say that number because it's so significant. It is extremely significant to me. And anytime that I am in a space with multiple people, I always mention the number because I think it's important for me. It's important for all Latinos or non-Latinos to know that number because we truly are making money and we're spending money. We're still buying homes. We're still buying vehicles. We're still going to the grocery stores and we're consuming. And 4.1, 4.1 trillones de dólares es lo que los latinos contribuimos a la economía en Estados Unidos. Entonces es una estadística muy importante saber que usted la sepa y que se la deje saber a otras personas, porque es muy importante que nos demos ese valor que tenemos. Yo sé que son dólares y es un número, pero eso es el valor que nosotros tenemos en este país y que somos necesitados porque estamos contribuyendo en esa cantidad. Entonces es muy importante que sepan ese número. So it's extremely important to know this number. $4.1 trillion is our contribution to the US economy. So outstanding. We haven't been able to get a t-shirt because the number keeps going up. Unless we get a 4.1 with arrow, it keeps going up. So a very trillion, trillones. Is she correct? Lily Mato say trillones? 3 trillions.
Mhm.
Sí, Lily,
Trillones.
trillions.
Ajá.
No billones, 3 trillions.
Tri-
Para que tú sepas. Yeah. So yeah, it makes me excited to say that number all the time. I love it. Every time that I try my best, any platform that I'm in, I mention it many times. So it's exciting. One of the things too, as I've mentioned it before, Super Bowl, the star of the Super Bowl. I'm extremely excited about that. I'm extremely excited about Bat Bunny. I already ordered my jersey. Do you have a jersey, Maddie?
Oh, I have t-shirts. I have a bunch of t-shirts. Debí tirar más fotos. I think I have two so far. And I order my Benito sneakers, like my Adidas sneakers that say Benito on the side. So yeah, I plan to be, hooked up for that day. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think that was huge news in 2025. Um, there's a lot of celebrities. I know Netflix. I didn't look this up, but I know on Netflix I noticed a change. I noticed on how they have much more content with Latinos as the main characters, or just a Latino theme going on. So I've noticed a difference in that. So definitely media, definitely the economic world, the business world. A lot of women Latinas, we start businesses. We're entrepreneurs. We're helping our mates in their entrepreneurship projects as well. In reference to education as well, we're becoming more involved in our children's education as well. I think we're starting to learn a little bit better about the importance of being involved in education. I think we're becoming more inquisitive, if that makes sense. We're having to know, maybe value. Maybe it's a value system that has changed as well in reference to how can I prosper? How can my children prosper? So I think that has
Mhm.
been significant as well. I know in the city where I live, just a little bit. I've seen a little bit of increase of Latino owned businesses, and I'm very proud to be one of them. And I make sure that whenever I'm in circles with the city, I let them know that I am a Latino based business in the city, and I feel proud of where my business is located because I my business is here, I live here, and my son goes to school here. So
Mm.
I definitely support my city, and they I feel support for them as well. So I'm in Hampton, Virginia, and so I think that's extremely significant as well when you feel support of where you live, that you don't feel like you're an outcast or they don't want you there. So I think that's important to be somewhere where you feel welcomed. So I think
Mhm.
that's important. I wanted to ask you, Maddie, with the financial, uh, looking at our finances, what is something that is pivotal that we need to do as we end and start a new year in our home finances?
I think exactly what we're doing right now. You have to sit down and like look at your year in review, whatever that may look like, whether it is sit down and go through your online banking. Like now, if a lot of online banking platforms will have tools that allow you to look at how much money you have coming in and how much money has gone out. So I think that's one of the things that we don't really like sit down and look at, so maybe putting numbers to those type of transactions. This is how much money I made, this is how much money came in, this is how much money went out. Where is there any room in there to be able to save anything? This is how much debt I have. Like I think again, like being honest with ourselves, because sometimes it's like, oh, I'm not too bad or whatever, but have you sat down and kind of written down all your debt? Have you, a lot of online platforms will have simulators where it looks at your credit report and it says, okay, if you pay down this much in debt, how would that affect your credit? So I think, being able to sit down and kind of look at your whole financial picture, and it's scary, like I'm not saying that this is something that you'll do in half an hour. No, maybe do bite size. Okay, let me look today, let me look at my debt. This is how much I have in debt. Okay. Then tomorrow, let me look at how much income I had and how much money I spent this year, and then the third day or the third instance could be, like, what can I fix? What can I adjust in all of these? If a lot of people get a bonus at the end of the year, what is the best way to be able to invest my bonus so that it can make a difference in my future for next year? What are my plans for next year? I think that is huge. I always talk about, educating ourselves, but also planning, kind of less, we don't, I think we are very emotional and passionate beings, and sometimes it's like, okay, I want to do this, let me do it, and I'm guilty because I am that way, like I've been saying for like the past 2 months, I'm gonna take 3 vacations next year. I don't know how I'm gonna pay for them, but I'm gonna do them. It's my 50th birthday, and I want three. There's 3 places that I want to celebrate at. I want to go to Vegas. I want to go to Arizona because I have a cousin in Arizona who's turning 50 as well. So I want to be able to celebrate with her. And then my other cousin turns 50 in May. And, we grew up, like sisters. And I want to do a trip with her. So, it's like those are my 3 trips. Don't know how I'm going to pay for them, but I am doing them. And I think those are things that we should be able to plan for. So what do I want to do? What do I want to accomplish? And then of course the last thing is be realistic. Because yeah, okay, I'm looking at my finances. I want to save, $15,000 by the end of next year. Is that number realistic? Do you have a gap of $15 in all the money that you spend that you can take? Is that a realistic number, or is 5,000 more of a realistic number? So I think, we have to look at the full financial picture, whatever, that may be, divided in bite-sized chunks so that you can digest it correctly, and revisit it, and then kind of tweak it. Like, what can I do different? How can I do better? Because again, life changes every day. We don't know what's going to happen. You can make all the planning you want, and then something happens in between. So what if I said I was going to save 5,000 and I was only able to save 4,000? That's 4,000 that you didn't have last year. So you didn't fail. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends. Again, glass half full, half empty. How are we going to look at it? So I think, that's what we need to do. You got to sit down. You got to be honest with yourself. You got to I'm a visual learner. So I'm a person that I have to kind of write things down, or I have to visualize things, or have to see things to kind of let them sink in, or kind of, okay, this is what's going on. So that's the best thing I can say. Sit down, write it down, look at it, revisit it, and then see, where can I make a change. Like, where can I make a change here, and where can I make it work for myself. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge because it is scary. I've been scared many times, where just the thought of logging in and looking at my bank statement to see, like, oh my God, how 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 was I able to pay all the things that I had to pay, because of the amount of money that came in is not the same amount of money that went out, right? It's very scary. Um, I think also as a single female, it's harder at times as well, because it's the money that you bring in. You have no assistance from a partner, right? With or someone that you live with. So I think that's extra scary too. If you're a mom, single mom, or just different things that could happen. Um, it's extra stressful, and I think just knowing it's extremely important. I've learned that yes, I'm going to be scared. It's anxiety, right, that gets to me. But I realized that once I go through it and I just look at my bank statements, like the last 30 days, I'm like, I catch mistakes and I'm able to get some of my money back. Like the other day, I had ordered some food and they automatically gave me, they gave me an automatic like tip. I had to give the people. I was like, oh my God. I was like, it was a huge tip, right? So because I caught it, I was able to call and I was able to alter the tip and I was able to get some of my money back. Um, there's been times that maybe I signed up for some type of membership and I did a 7-day free trial, but then I overlooked. So I can always call back, cancel it instead of having to pay for it 3-4 months at a time. So I think it's looking at it in that perspective, right? It's like fact finding information. It's and let's try and get rid of the anxiety, because I have been able to find errors, or maybe I thought I had canceled a membership but I didn't cancel it, or whatever. Things come up, and there has been times that I was able to get my money back. So I think that has been um an experience for me, that I had to change my mindset, because it was nothing but anxiety for me. It was so fearful. Especially, I remember after my divorce, it was just because the money was so crazy and so out of control. Um, but I think I was able to gain it back because I, it took courage. It took courage to log in and look at it. And at the end of the day, I felt a relief afterwards because I knew versus not knowing.
And it's taking that first step. I always compare everything to my running. It's always hard when I wake up in the day and it's like, oh, I gotta go run. No, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And I will tell myself 1,000 stories while I'm getting ready, why I should not go out for a run. And then it's like you take that first step and you start running, and then that's it. That's all it took. So that was the first step. hardest one, the first one, and then after you take that first one, you're good. So I think it's the same thing with the not knowing. Sometimes, and I'm guilty of it. I am like the first person. If I don't know it, it's not bothering me. It's not in my head because I don't know about it. And then it's like, a month later you find out and you're like, oh my God, why didn't I look at this? Why didn't I know about this? So saying that to say that eventually you will stress about it, whether it is now or when you come across it. You know what I'm saying? So just because you're not aware at this moment, or because you don't want to look at it at this moment, it doesn't mean that it's not going to stress you out. So can you look at it right now and kind of try to get a handle on it before it gets out of control? Or do I just ignore it until it is out of control and then I try to fix it? So kind of, how are we going to look at this? So the not knowing, sometimes, we are all guilty of it. I know I am. I don't want to find out right now because I can't deal with it. I'll find out later. Or, what? I got to get a handle on this. Okay, let me see. What am I looking at? Okay, how can we fix it now? So.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm a big time procrastinator, so that's one of the things that I want to change. So I have seen improvement throughout the years because I have intentionally tried to get rid of it. I haven't been able to get rid of it completely, but with my planners, I told you guys about my planners. I'm better at putting things on my phone and my planner. I think like because I write it down on my planner and my phone is like I don't know if it's my right brain, left brain talking to all of it or whatever, but I do better when I can see it in both places. And that has helped me to stay more organized, to kind of follow through. It could be something simple as taking a vitamin or drinking a tea at the end of the night, or my daily alarm on my phone. I do have an alarm just in case I oversleep, but usually I naturally wake up, but my alarm says gratitude, right? So even though I live in gratitude every day, just in case I forget, it's there to remind me and I see the word gratitude. Um, so I think we're just, like you said, giving ourselves grace to be able to say, like I'm going to fall short at times, right? But I think it's okay to fall short because we do it all the time. Like just recently, I know that I need to go back to working out because my body wasn't hurting, but now my body's hurting and I know exactly why. So it's just having to get up and like just get it done. Just do it. I was pain free and I was only going for like 45 minutes. So that's all I need. Whether I do it 3 times a week, I just need to get up and go. And for me, I need to write it down and I need to put it on my phone to make sure it just has to get done. And I think that as I get older, as we join 2026, that's one of my other areas because I see my mom is 20 years older and her mom is 20 years older than her. So I'm seeing myself in the future today. And so I see the aches and pains that they have. And so I took a picture a couple of months ago and it was like a selfie, but right behind me was my mom and behind her was her mom. It was like an amazing picture, but it was that light bulb for me because that's me in the future. And I have the ability to make some alterations to my future because I can potentially be here till I'm 100. Like my grandmother's 90, you know? And I see her and she's so full of life for being 90, like seriously. And you met her, Maddie. And she just started using a cane last year.
Amazing. I told you, your genes are amazing. So yeah, God bless you. God bless you all.
Yeah, I see my mom and her energy, and just she's really like full of life, my mother. And so I think she has more life than I do in reference to like personality. She's way more animated than I am. But just her energy, I see her walking compared to other people that are her age or older than her, and she's extremely active. And one thing in our family, la lengua les trabaja perfecto. No problems with the speech. That mouth in my family It works perfect. They don't need anything for that. But yeah, it's that's one of the things as well that I want to have longevity. I want to take care of my
Mm-hmm.
body better. So it's like, my mental and my physical is one of the that's going to be a focus for me on 2026, and especially because my kids are getting older, and so I'm looking forward to grandmotherhood, to be honest with you. My kids are still young, but I look forward to it. I think it's just amazing when I see pictures of you, Maddie, with your granddaughter, or the times that I've seen you with her. Is a different type of love,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's just I'm looking
Definitely.
forward to those different phases, and I want to be able to be here and enjoy it.
Definitely, definitely. It's like I keep I talk about this all the time, because anytime that we make big decisions in our lives, people might question our decisions, but at the end of the day, you know what works for you, you know what's best for you, and you know why you do things. A big thing for me, again, making the major changes that I've done the past 2 years in my life, it's exactly because of that. Like, I saw my mom deteriorate at a very young age. My mom was in her 40s when she was diagnosed with diabetes, and my mom was in her maybe mid 50s when she was diagnosed with kidney disease, because of her diabetes, and she needed a kidney transplant in her 50s. So I saw the toll that it took on her life, like very early on. Then my mom had a major fall, and probably the last 10 years of her life, she had very limited mobility. And that is always something that I am always afraid of, because I am so independent. I like to do things myself. I like to exercise, I like to dance, I like to move. My family complains all the time that they don't want to clean because I clean right behind them. I like to do everything myself, and it's not that it's not right unless I do it, but I do it right the first time. So anyway, um, so like I don't want to lose that, and again, seeing my mom go through all that at a very young age, I'm always afraid of it. So I'm always, like, I know that I don't have issues with my diabetes anymore, but I always check it every once in a while. At least once or twice a month, I will prick my finger just to make sure that that I'm still on target, that everything is still good, that there's nothing, too much out of control. Of course, my regular doctor visits and checking my blood work and things of that nature. That's we have to care for ourselves, because your body changes. We again, we talk about it after a certain age. I think after 40, your I always joke around, the check engine light goes on, and you start finding out issues that you're like, what in the world, so you never know, and there's so much that we don't know, and things that are connected. I recently, earlier this year, I was diagnosed with some kind of nerve condition, that I have a deformed disc on my back that's affecting my spine, and it affects my nerves. So when that flares up and I go outside in the sun, it causes a reaction on my skin. So how the
Mm.
heck am I supposed to know that the sun and my nerves and my back are connected? And so for the longest, I spent about 4 years thinking that I was allergic to the sun, that I had sun poisoning, this is a girl from the Caribbean that was born, and grew up under the sun. And I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm in my 40s and I'm allergic to the sun. It's like so many things, that go through your head. But again, after 40, your life completely changes, and the most minimal thing can make a huge difference in your life. So again, being aware, same thing that we said with our finances, knowing, being aware, check yourself, monitor yourselves. How can I keep myself, doing better? Drinking vitamins and supplements. I recently just started taking a bunch of supplements, and it's still an adjustment period. I'm not really good yet, but I try to do it every time I remember, you know. So at least, you know, out of the 7 days of the week, if I can go through at least 3 or 4 days where I take all of my supplements in those 4 days, I'm okay with that, you know. So because again, that's new for me. So aside from taking my vitamins, I always, you know, I also started taking, you know, some supplements, you know, that they say are, you know, good for you. So whatever I can do to help my body right now, I am doing it. I'm trying to stay on top of it, and trying to be aware of what's going on. And again, you know your body better than anybody, so don't take the first diagnosis for whatever you have going on, because sometimes, you know, a lot of doctors will kind of dismiss things and toss it under the rug. Oh no, that's just in your mind, that's just your imagination, whatever. Like I said, this condition, I it was a lot of research, of me doing a lot of research, going through different specialists, telling the doctors, I'm like, no, that's not what's wrong with me. No, that's not what's wrong with me. No, this is not what's wrong with me. It was 4 years of that, until finally I went to a doctor, and he said, and I said, look, this is what I have. And I, you know, kind of told him, and then he said, yeah, it's either that or this. And, you know, and I was like, I know it's not that, you know. So they did kind of tests on me or whatever. So again, you have to be your best advocate, because you know your body best. So just kind of be on top of that as well. Just like you check your finances, check on your health, and make sure that you're aware of everything that's going on with you.
Yeah, most definitely. And even for young people, right? You could be in your 20s or your 30s. Like the decisions that you make in your 20s and 30s can also affect how you are in your 40s and 50s.
Mm-hmm.
So it's extremely important to start taking care of your body early, taking care of your finances early. I had that
Mm-hmm.
conversation with my 21-year-old recently. You know, the choices that you make today are so significant to what your life is going to look like in 10 years, because it's hard to think about 31 when you're 21, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's easier for me at 45 to think what 55 may look like, right? But it's hard when you're in your 20s to think even 5 years, which is even harder to see 10 years later. But it really, I think it's for us to be able to listen to the wisdom of older people, people that have more wisdom than we do. I think it's all about our circle and who we hang with, right? I think sometimes maybe we have a best friend because we, you know, she's been my friend since we were 3 years old. But maybe I don't go to her for certain things because I can't really get that type of wisdom in certain areas. But I just think it's important to always have people around you, that can bring knowledge to you, wisdom, guidance. I always tell my son, like, do not rush in. It's always something like fools rush in, right? And just being able to be still at times before you make decisions, even as taking vitamins, right? Even deciding on what type of vitamins to take. Like my grandmother recently had some heart concerns, and so she wants to take these herbal supplements. And I'm like, well, we need to check with your cardiologist first. We can't just rush in and think that you could take them, right? So that's part of having wisdom as we do things. So all of that, and I just want to encourage people to have a plan. I think it's is the big message here, right? That as we make decisions, um, to just think, and sometimes we may have, some of us, I try not to do this, but we have a plan. By the time I'm 21, this is going to happen. By the time I'm 35, this is going to happen. And things change all the time. You don't know if your health is going to change, or people in your circle may change. Families that are in the military may move away, or whatever it may be. But just kind of have a plan in place with a little wiggle room, because life happens. If not, it would not be called life. And I would say that's the biggest thing. So we want to acknowledge some of our people that are watching. Haiti de la Cruz gave a heart symbol. Tracy Tucker and Elizabeth Flores gave thumbs up. Lily Matos, Valentina Rojas as well gave us some love on our live. And as you guys know, Que Pasa Mujer is a platform through Pod TV. Our producer is Mark, the wonderful Mark. And our show runs live on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube. And I don't know what else Mark does with our show while we're running live, but throughout the week, we run as well on other platforms, and we're seen in other countries as well. So we are always very grateful that we have access to this platform. As Maddie always tends to highlight, we don't take it lightly. We understand that this does not have to happen. We've been doing this for 3 years, Maddie. Um, we're going into 4 years in 2026, and September 26, 2026 will be our fourth year. So it has been a great ride. I continue to enjoy it. Um, Even with Que Pasa Mujer, sometimes it's challenging at times. Um, the topics, being engaged with the topic, having guests, other activities that Maddie might be having, or I might be having, or somebody gets sick. So there's always challenges, but there's always fix to the challenges. So we try to show up at our best when we're here, because as we're talking to you guys, as we try our best to give you our guidance. Many times we're talking to ourselves. So we just enjoy that. Maddie, I think it has been amazing to work with you. Um, Maddie is like my virtual best friend, Que Pasa Mujer, because we don't see each other a lot in person, but we definitely have a bond, and our relationship has really grown over the years. And I appreciate your time. I appreciate your talent. I appreciate your heart and everything that you do. And definitely, I would definitely agree with you to give yourself grace. Because you're amazing.
No, no crying yet. The year's not over yet. Oh no.
No.
No, same here. Same here. It's I still remember, you I think you sent me a text and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to be doing this, you want to join me?" And I'm like, "What?" Okay, and it was a one-time thing, and then here we are 4 years later, almost 4 years later, and we're still here. So, I appreciate one you thinking of me. I always appreciate you thinking so highly of me. Sometimes, you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, maybe I'm doing one thing right. But I love you. I thank you so much, for your friendship, for your support, for always, being there, whether it is with a text, a phone call, or in person. And I appreciate that. I've enjoyed working with you, learning from you, growing with you. You are a great inspiration. You inspire with everything that you do. I have the utmost respect for you as a professional, as a woman, as an entrepreneur, as a go-getter. I just kind of feel like there's nothing that you put your mind to that you cannot do, and I admire that about you. So
Thank you.
thank you for thinking of me, and for having me here, for being you.
Oh, thank you so much. And so you guys know that whenever Maddie does her poem, I always get chills. Notice I'm wearing a sweater today because I know she's gonna like, oh, explode today. Um, but I still remember, and I will forever tell. I don't know if it was the first time that I met you, but we were at a little deli cafe in Hampton. It's still there. I don't remember the name of it. Um,
Aromas.
Aromas? Yeah. Is that the name of it today?
I think so. It's Aromas. It's the one place in Hampton that I used to perform on a regular basis.
Yeah. So it was the first time in my life that I heard a bilingual poem. And I was like in love with it because, being bilingual is extremely unique, right? Everybody is not bilingual. And I'm not trying to promote knowing Spanish or anything like that, but just a bilingual brain. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
the inside of our brain is like booming like all the time. And that's just being bilingual. Imagine people that know multiple languages. But just for me, because that's my experience of being bilingual,
Mhm.
and just to hear spoken word in both languages, and to hear this, it's kind of like magic happening, because it's spoken word, it's talent, like you feel the person's energy and heart, and you understand both languages. Like, I can't explain it, but it's an amazing feeling, that I wish everybody could experience. Is I know you can hear it in your own language, and you can get the chills in your own language, but when you're in a place where you can hear both languages and understand both of them, one of a kind, for sure.
Yeah,
So I love your bilingual
haven't
poems.
make
I don't know what
sense.
you're gonna do today, but I love the bilingual poems.
Yeah, having it make sense, that's one of the things that I've always, struggled with when, coming up with poems, or writing my poems. It's like, if I add the Spanish, thing into it, is it going to change my English poem, or does a person that doesn't speak Spanish understand the poem, and I always question that. And I have one particular, like, a love poem that I wrote, an English version and a Spanish version, and I meshed them, where I do one stanza in Spanish, one in English, one Spanish, one in English, throughout the whole poem. So if you speak both languages, you don't miss the message. But if you only speak one of the languages, it's like, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, are you getting the whole poem? And I've done it in front of people that only speak the one, either Spanish or English, and they get the whole message, so it's one of those things that sometimes I question to myself. But like you said, Viviana, spoken word is a whole experience, and it's not so much, it's, yes, it's the language, but it is also the feeling, it is the projection of your voice. There's so much more that goes into that. And if one of my favorite poets said one time, if you care about what I'm saying, you will do your research, and eventually you will understand. So, yeah.
Love it. So we're ready for your poem. This is the last poem of 2025 of Que Pasa, Mujer.
I know. And again, it's a repeat poem. I've done this poem a couple of times, but it's in my heart, and I feel you know, um, like this is how I want to end the year. And I often do this, with my poems. It's kind of like a message to myself, and it ends up being for more than myself. So, I've been doing this poem a lot, and I hope it resonates, and I hope you guys like it. And it's a survival poem to myself. So, confession: I never really learned to swim. I have a hard time keeping my head above water, getting my limbs to move gracefully through the problems, through the water. I've mastered the art of being still, pushing my back against my stomach, lifting my chest up, no matter what tries to weigh me down. Chin up and just breathe. I have often felt like I opened my eyes at a time and space that never seemed to fit. An unsteady fluid surface, I always had a hard time learning to walk in, to swim in, to exist in, always trying not to sink. Born in soil that will always remind me that I don't fully belong, that these roots will have to learn to exist above ground until I could find a solid surface I could plant myself and call my own. Find other flowers to mix with, where my leaves can be a symbol of individuality and not what I need in order to fit in. I have learned that this shade of brown is very hard to miss. It will always find a way to stand out in any garden it is thrown into, some a curse, to me from a shroom, a gift. I have since discovered that I am the daughter of evolution, that this body has the power to transform, to become, to live on, turning rough endings into new beginnings, no matter how many tries it takes. You call it brown girl magic, I call it the will of my ancestors showering me with strength, because these roots have been able to survive high winds, deep waters, uneven soil, even hell. They have walked through the flames and have mastered the art of blooming even while they burn. I never thought I would get to see an older version of myself. Yet here I am, with so much more world to see. So to future me, when you read this 30 years from now, just know that you are proof that you don't need to be a swimmer to make it through the flood, because sometimes floating, it's enough.
Thank you, Maddie. I promised goosebumps, and they always happen. So yes, that's amazing. Again, thank you, Maddie, for your talent, for your gifts, and for sharing it with us. And I'm extremely excited that Que Pasa Mujer came into fruition, and I am excited that we have been able to sustain it, that we're still here, that we're still being given the opportunity to have this platform, and we are very thankful for our audience, people that watch the show, people that share the show with other people. Some people watch the show and they don't comment and they don't thumbs up or anything. So we appreciate you as well. And we are here every Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Estamos aquí todos los domingos a las 4 de la tarde, los domingos. Y le queremos dar gracias a Maddie por darnos, prestarnos, mostrarnos su talento con sus poemas, y también le queremos decir gracias a nuestra audiencia que están con nosotros. Ya llevamos 3 años haciendo este show, vamos a cumplir 4 años en septiembre de 2026, entonces estamos llenos de gratitud que continúan a vernos o compartir el show con otras personas también. Entonces es una manera estupenda de terminar el 2025 con ustedes. It is a pleasure to finish 2025 with you guys, and we look forward to 2026. I can't wait because Maddie's coming up with her other book. Right, Maddie?
Of course, yes.
And then Maddie is going to give us some great news, I think, next time you come. ¿Cómo se dice? Gone with the old and what? ¿Cómo se dice ese dicho?
Afuera con lo viejo y bienvenido todo lo nuevo.
How do you say it in English?
Out with the old, in with the new. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think so. Something like that.
So we want to wish you guys a happy holiday and a prosperous new year, and we will see you guys 2026. So thank you. Thank you, Mark, for everything that you do
Feliz
for us.
año.
Thank you, Maddie. Feliz año.
Are just so impressed with them. Like I said, we've been with them for years. I will recommend and refer anyone to them. We stand by A+ academics. They're the best.
A+ tutorial really did help me with all my grades. They all went up when I came to this place. And I would say I recommend this school to everyone.
So it's a really good environment to be in, especially for me because it makes me look up to my parents.
If you have students that need academic help, A+ Academics is the place to be. A+ Academics, what a great place to go for academics.
It's just a really great place to learn.